Welcome. So in this short lesson, we'll conquer run-on sentences, those sneaky errors that join two complete thoughts but incorrectly. And you'll learn how to spot run-ons fast and also fix them with punctuation or conjunctions so you can just grab the easy points on the ACT. And so now let's dive in. So you might be asking yourself, like, why do run-on sentences matter on the ACT? So run-on sentences are actually a favorite ACT trap because they test punctuation, they test grammar, and they also test clarity all at once. And if you can identify and correct run-ons quickly, you essentially save time and score points, especially on questions that look identical, especially on questions that look identical except for punctuation. So the first question to answer or to ask ourselves is like, what is a run-on sentence, right? A run-on happens when two independent clauses, so an independent clause being a complete thought that could stand alone, when two independent clauses are joined incorrectly. And so in this case, the ACT expects you to either separate them properly or to connect them with the correct punctuation or conjunction. So the first step is spotting a problem. So for example, you'll see this sentence that is crossed out being, she loves math, she studies every day. So she loves math could be a sentence on its own. She studies every day also could be a sentence on its own. So these two are independent clauses. So this is incorrect grammatically because they're not connected properly. And the way to connect them is to either, so you can either separate them with punctuation. So in this case, you could say she loves math, which is just, you just separating it with a period. Or you could say she loves math, separate it with a semicolon. Or you could say she loves math, comma, and the and being the conjunction that then combines the two. So if you see two full ideas that are connected together or like jammed together, that sentence is probably a run-on sentence. So let's go to rule number one, which is using a period, right? This is the easiest fix. You have two complete sentences, you just split them with with a period. So the example here is, I am tired, I'll go to bed, period between after I'm tired. And essentially this is always grammatically safe on the ACT because it correctly separates them. Rule number two is using a semicolon. So a semicolon also does the same job of linking two closely related independent clauses. So in this case, again, the same sentence, I'm tired, I'll go to bed. Again, use a semicolon only when both sides are complete sentences. The ACT often tests whether you notice this distinction. Rule number three is using a comma plus FANBOYS. And so here, the idea is to use a comma plus a coordinating conjunction to join independent clauses. And so FANBOYS, what is FANBOYS? FANBOYS just stands for and, just an acronym for and, nor, but, or, yet, and so. And so, for example, you have a sentence, you have two complete sentences, I'm tired, I'll go to bed. The way you connect them is by adding a comma and then adding one of these clauses that makes sense. So here, it makes sense that because you're tired, you go to bed. So the word so is the right one. And something to remember here is a comma by itself is not enough to join two independent clauses. So if we were joining these two sentences and we didn't have this word so, that would be an incorrect connection. And that is essentially what is called a comma splice, which we'll cover in the next slide. So this is one of the things that is tested frequently. It's a trap where you have two independent clauses and you only use a comma to separate them. So for example, I'm tired, comma, I'll go to bed. This is called a comma splice. And the way you fix it is you either remove the comma and you just put a period, or you remove the comma and you put a semicolon, or you keep the comma, but you also add a fanboy. So that could be for, and, nor, but in this case, again, so makes the most sense. The other part is subordinating clauses, right? So not every two clause sentence is a run-on, right? So if one clause is dependent, then the sentence is fine, right? So for example, here, because I'm tired is not really a full sentence, right? Because I'm tired cannot sound as a full sentence. It doesn't express a full idea. And so the way you do that is if you have the comma here and you continue with the full independent clauses after, then that's okay. The other way to connect them is to use a conjunction. So you could say, I'll go to bed because I'm tired. So this connects the two ideas. So essentially flip the order and then remove the comma. And so let's look at a couple of practice questions here, right? The first sentence here, I studied all night, I still felt unprepared, right? The way you fix this is, again, this is a full sentence, this is a full sentence. The way you fix this, as we said earlier, is you can either put a period here, you could put a semicolon, or you could put a comma and then have a conjunction. He missed the bus, he was late. This is an example of a comma splice where you have two full sentences that are connected with a comma, but there is no conjunction. Again, similarly, you'd fix it the same way. You can either add a conjunction here, right? And that would make sense. She wanted to win, so she practiced every day. So this sentence here is already correct. And so you might be asking yourself, like, why? Because there's no comma going on here. But this is essentially optional. Like the comma is optional if you already have the coordinating conjunction or the conjunction here. So in this case, of these three sentences, or of these three items, the third one is the one that is correct. And so again here, what I'll call out here is that the ACT rules change over time. So just make sure that when you're doing practice questions, and also just reviewing the most up-to-date resources, or like how the ACT is marking things, to check if they prefer a comma or if this is fine. But grammatically, this sentence here, that this coordinating or this connecting conjunction here alone without the comma is fine. So for a quick summary, we are focusing on fixing run-ons, right? And the quick recap here is that a run-on happens when two full sentences are joined incorrectly. And the way you fix it is by putting a period between those two sentences, putting a semicolon, putting a comma plus a one of those FANBOYS words, conjunctions, or putting a subordinate or putting a subordinating clause. So you can, as we discussed, you can have a clause that is not a full sentence, and you put a comma, and then you'd follow it with an independent clause. And that's really it for run-on sentences. The next steps here is to just practice on fixing run-ons in the app, and take as many questions as you can, and scan for the comma splices while you read. So the faster that you can detect independent clauses, essentially the faster you'll be able to pick the correct ACT choice. And the faster you can do that, the more you get time to do the questions that are like more challenging. So keep practicing. The more questions you do, the more these fixes will become intuitive. And we'll stop there for today. Good luck.